And then we have got what should be good balance of board membership look like. It must have balance. Now, what we talk of, what are we saying when we say a board must have balance? Within the board, there must be balance of power, so that no person or group of persons can dominate the decisions. You know, the checks and balances are so critical in a board. There must be also a good balance of skills. So you can't have like your teachers, everyone, maybe like say is an accountant in the board. There must be balance of skills. You must, even gender, there must be balance. You also look even at age. You know, you can't have a board of people who are always sleeping throughout the, you know, you must also have some bit of some energy into it. So it must have that balance when you're structuring out a board that is effective. And in some situations, we have got organizations which have got constitutions that have a clause that allows to co-opt a member in order to address any of the above imbalance. You know, you're allowed to do that if you find there is a certain skill that is lacking, and maybe it's not the number you have in the board doesn't really represent the skills that are required. You can co-opt the skill. Like, for example, finance people are so difficult to come by, isn't it? You can co-opt that based on the skill that is lacking in the board, so that the board becomes effective. So clarity of roles and responsibility of board. The board must have clear roles and responsibilities outlined in the relevant documents, like the board charter at Tataure. It must have that clarification of. Most of these boards are operating without a board charter. People don't even know how often they are supposed to meet, and you know they need to have those guidelines of operation. And at the end of it all, they must be evaluated based on the criterion stated in the board charter itself. But you find most people, they don't even evaluate themselves in terms of whether they made any contribution or what, or they've been sleeping all throughout the term. And the roles and responsibilities should not give undue power to any one person or group of persons in the board. And the board must define the roles of the full board, the chairperson, committees, individual board members, board office bearers, and the CEO, such that there is no duplication or confusion of roles. So it must adhere to these tenets. There must be clarity of roles. So this is how governance and management in terms of boards should appear. The board, you know, as the governance body, they determine policy and strategy. And then the management implement policy and strategy. So it must be that clarity. And the board also plays in appointing and the overseeing of the CEO. All right? Whilst the CEO appoints managers and staff, the moment the board appoints staff, then there is a problem there. Are you getting the clarity of roles here? The board appoints the CEO, and the CEO appoints the management, the managers and staff. This is how it is supposed to be. But alas, is this what is happening? This is where now challenges come in, and they affect sustainability. Monitoring the performance of the organization, and whilst the management monitors the day-to-day activities, the board also it manages the governance processes, whilst the management delivers services and conditions. Board must also provide insight, wisdom, and judgment, whilst management do the programming of activities. So that clarity must be there. Formulation of strategy for resource mobilization should come from the board itself, whilst the implementation of the mobilization strategy comes from the management. So if all these things are so clear, surely there will not be any confusion in the organization. But that clarity sometimes is so difficult to get in most organizations. And it presents challenges in terms of sustainability of an organization. There must be also the aspect of risk management and internal control. And here we are saying successful organizations identify and manage risks when considering choosing among appropriate opportunities. Risk management and internal control are significant parts of effective corporate governance. The two imperatives are fundamental to supporting the achievement of an organizational objective and to enhancing, creating, and protecting stakeholder value. I don't know whether you have risk and management, risk and internal control policies in your organizations. Don't worry if you don't have. Most organizations in Zimbabwe, from my experience, don't have this. And when there is no risk and internal control systems in place, this allows for pilferage. It allows for leakages in the systems, and that makes sustainability very difficult. So risk must be assessed, and you must have the ability, the skill to assess risk and also to manage and have proper internal control systems in place to minimize these leakages. There must be that balance of risk and control. I will not delve into specifics of that. And then we are saying, in order to achieve a balance between risk controls, internal controls should be proactive, not to wait when a situation is gotten out of hand. You must be proactive to really mitigate against the incidences of some of the things that maybe you might not be able to control when they get out of hand. So you must be proactive. Value added, cost effective, and you also must address exposure to risk. Once you find that we are exposed here, what mechanisms are you supposed to put in place to address the exposure? So you must have all that. And this is the framework. The ideal internal control framework consists 5 interrelated components: control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, monitoring. The aspect of information and communication is paramount. There are a lot of organizations that do not exercise appropriate and effective communication within their systems. There are organizations that are run on hearsay. Like I said, the internal publics, once it gets disgruntled, you will have problems. So management of people is key and so critical in any organization that wants to sustain itself. But we tend to want to manage gadgets. We think gadgets are the ones. No, it is the people who man the gadgets that you must first give leadership and proper management. Because these are just at the mercy of the individuals who operate them. We tend to ignore that aspect.